how's it going? I'm the Timmeister, and welcome back to the greater Timbukton region. In today's episode, guys, which is episode 14, we are going to be constructing Downtown Burton. So I'm super excited to get started on this episode, and I'm sure you guys are as well. We're finally getting into some densely populated areas, and I just can't wait. So the first thing we're going to start with is the main link between Timbukton and Burton. So this bridge right here is going to see a high volume of traffic, and it's important that the link between Timbukton and Burton be very efficient and able to handle a large amount of traffic. So what I'm building right now is a 3-lane in each direction going across the bridge, and in just a couple minutes here we're going to get started on a large elevated Y-interchange, and that's sort of going to be the main link into the industrial port of Burton and sort of the downtown area in general, although there's going to be another large interchange that will sort of better service the actual central business district. So that's coming up in just a minute. So as we're going full swing on this interchange, guys, I just want to mention, forgive me if I sound a little snuffled up. I've just gotten over a cold, and my allergies are quite out of whack because it is spring here and the trees are blooming, everything's blooming, and it gets to me pretty hard, so bear with me on that. I should be good to go by next episode. As I mentioned at the start of the episode, this is going to be a Y interchange, but it's not going to be in the typical Y configuration where all like the off and on ramps sort of intersect in one location. They're going to go into two separate, points of entry onto the interchange. Not really sure how to explain it, but you'll get what you'll see what I mean in just a minute here. So I began to look on Google Maps to try to find a compact Y interchange. Because this is a pretty tight location, I don't have a ton of room to play with. I was sort of looking for a little bit of inspiration on how I could manage this, and I was able to find a pretty neat little Y interchange in Portland, Maine, and I actually drove over this last summer on my trip to Maine, and this is actually a perfect example. So this neat little interchange looks like a pretty good effort to conserve as much space as possible, because Y interchanges can be quite intrusive and just generally pretty large. So I'm going exactly for this sort of configuration, except instead of the over or the on ramps and stuff going under the main carriageway, everything is going to be elevated into the air. So there's an interchange that looks similar to this. It's like a half Y interchange in St. John, New Brunswick. So I guess if you double this, it would be a pretty good representation of that interchange. So that's what we're going for in this episode. And a little later on, we're going to actually get started on downtown right after we finish this interchange. So like I stated earlier, there's going to be a second large interchange that's going to service more or less the downtown itself. Downtown is going to be on the other side of where this sort of interchange is pointing towards. So this interchange sort of better manages the industrial port, so it's going to see a lot of industrial traffic. So we want to make sure that the off and on ramps are more than capable of handling a large amount of traffic. But yeah, this was a pretty fun project. to take a second now to shout out to literally Shitler. He suggested that we should call the Hill Lodge / Country Club Oak Haven, and I think that's a pretty nice name, so we're gonna go for that. So shout out to you, and awesome username, by the way. Alright guys, so we finished the first interchange in Burton, and we're going to expand on it a little later. We're going to work on the streets and stuff that this interchange is mostly going to service. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, there's going to be a large sort of industrial port area in Burton, just on the other side of this interchange here. So what I'm going to start working on now is the main interchange that will service the downtown area of Burton, and it's going to be a pretty high capacity diamond interchange. So there's going to be like a sort of one-way sort of configuration to help traffic flow a little bit better, and you'll see what I get to in just a second here. It'll have like a sort of roundabout kind of system where if you're going north and you want to go east onto the highway, you know, you would have to go around a little roundabout kind of thing, but you'll see what I mean in just a second here once I get everything laid down properly. I don't remember quite where I found this huge bridge structure on the workshop, but it does look pretty cool. It almost gives the whole area the sort of, I guess it makes the highway look like it was maybe built in the 50s or even like maybe the late 40s kind of thing with these old brick structures. We're just going to suppose that this entire highway system was built in like maybe the early 50s around Burton. I get that sort of impression with this structure. But to be honest guys, after I had finished building this whole interchange, I wasn't really sure what to think of it. I'm not really sure, but I'm gonna keep it there anyways, and what I'm gonna do for you guys is make a poll in this episode, and I want you guys to decide what to do with the land between this bridge here. What to do in this empty space that we're gonna have right here, how we're gonna develop it. So I'm gonna give you guys a couple of options. One being parkland, other being commercial developments such as maybe a hotel or whatever you guys have for suggestions. Just leave them down in the comments. Or if we should maybe do like some old industrial, some mid 20th century industrial. Just let me know in the comments, guys. I'm gonna leave that poll there for you guys. I'm gonna leave like a other suggestion as well, so if you guys have any other interesting things that I maybe be able to build, just leave a comment. Alright guys, so what I'm doing now is plopping down the streets for the downtown area, and what you were just seeing me build right there, where those cliffs are, that's going to be a large park in downtown. There's going to be a whole lot of walking trails, and you'll see it's a quite extensive project that we're going to get into in a little bit here. And other than that, I'm just laying down these downtown streets for Burton, and I'm gonna start laying down a little bit of some of the more suburban streets later on. Well, not really suburban, but I guess like mid-town sort of area. Suburban stuff we'll get into a little bit later in the series. Get into some malls and shopping centers and all that kind of stuff. But that's for a future episode. I'm not even sure if it's going to be in the next 3 or 4 episodes because we have so much to cover. But stay tuned, guys. That is definitely in the works. So yeah, I mean, this large highway project here is almost coming to an end. In just a couple of minutes here, we're going to start to work on the actual infrastructure of downtown, so buildings and some more interesting things. There's going to be a large port in Burton City. But all in all, I'm super excited to get into some more urban areas, and I'm sure you guys are too. Again, not that I have anything wrong with rural areas, but after a while it gets a little repetitive, and I think we're due for a little bit of a change here. So this is it, guys. Welcome to Burton. Alright guys, so there is a ton of things in store for you guys, and what I'm starting off by doing right now is obviously the Central Business District. And I don't know if I mentioned this before, but Burton is sort of based on Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. So it's like a suburban city of Halifax. It's right across the bay, and it's a pretty large city. I think there's a couple 100,000 people that live in it. And the interesting thing about Burton is it's going to be a sort of mix between modern infrastructure and older, 1800 style buildings that are sort of mixed together. And it's for the most part going to be a quite modern city, especially when you get more towards the outskirts. Obviously, because it is a suburban city, urban sprawl is a lot more defined here, so we'll focus more on that in a later video. This video is just going to be focused on the downtown area. So for downtown, like I said, this downtown, similarly to pretty much every downtown I've ever built in any city building game, goes through a ton of changes. I'm very particular on how I want the whole setting to look, and when I'm not really satisfied with the building placement or how a certain thing looks, I'll just destroy a whole block and just restart. So this is no exception with Downtown Burton, so you're going to see a lot of revisions and a lot of changes throughout this episode on how the downtown looks, but I guess for the most part it sort of stays the same. This was actually a pretty good build, but you'll see a little later on what I mean. And as you've just seen me do there, I often zoom out and look at my city from different angles just to get that right look, and I'll even sometimes go as far as zooming into a particular area from like across the river to see how the skyline would look from a particular point, or how it would look crossing the main bridge, or sometimes I'll spend a little bit too much time doing things like that, and I'll waste like a good half hour just gazing at my city. I guess it's not necessarily a bad thing, but sometimes it causes me to procrastinate quite a bit. So as you're seeing right here, guys, a lot of wall-to-wall buildings, and as with most central business districts in any city, this is no exception. But one very important change I'm going to make later on in the episode is there's a lack of old wooden buildings in downtown Burton right now. And if you look at Halifax or any city in Nova Scotia, or even any city like in the northwest or the northeast United States, you'll notice that there's a lot of old wooden buildings, like 1800 style buildings that you guys know what I mean, like the stereotypical eastern fishing town type building. Because in Halifax, in particular, there is a ton of those style of buildings. There's whole neighborhoods of that style of buildings. And as you can see on your screen right now I sort of failed to recreate that right here. And I chose to plop down a whole bunch of brick and stone buildings. And that later on, I sort of realized that I was doing that, and I changed out a lot of the buildings. And I mentioned this creator on the workshop a couple of episodes ago. His name is 220 Hertz, and he actually bases a lot of buildings off of Prince Edward Island, and that's a perfect setting for this sort of build right here, because those buildings represent a lot of what you would find in the Atlantic provinces and in Halifax itself. So without 220 Hertz on the workshop, there would definitely be a huge gap in these sort of style of buildings. So huge thanks to you, sir, for the second time. Now on another topic, what I'm basically doing right now is just laying the framework behind downtown. So right now I'm only focusing on creating the skyline. I'm not focusing at all on any of the details or any of the fine little, nitpicky stuff in downtown. So I'm just placing buildings, and I'm sort of trying to mix together any commercial zones or residential zones, as well as plopping down the right services in the right areas to service the, to get the best coverage possible. And obviously I'm using the no problem mod, and a lot of problems between brackets are eliminated with that mod. So I don't think I have pollution to worry about. I forget what else I put in that in those specifications, but there's a few things in the game that I don't have to worry about, and that just permits me to build more creative cities and to get, I guess, better placement of structures and whatnot. So basically, like I said, I'm just plopping down buildings, trying to get the desired look for downtown. And later in this episode, we'll get into the nitpicky stuff, so adding some textures, props, all that good stuff. But again, like this entire project is meant to be, I'm not going to focus a ton of time on that. This isn't what this city is about. Basically, the experience I want to bring to you guys is, if we zoom out of this entire region, I want you guys to look at it and be like, holy crap, that looks so realistic. That looks just like a normal modern city. That's super amazing. And so far so good. I think you guys are quite satisfied with the content that I bring to you guys. Anyway, I hope so. But based on the comments, I think you guys are pretty happy. So yeah, the downtown in its state right now, it's going to change quite a bit here. This is actually kind of weird looking at. I don't know why, but I plopped down a whole bunch of vanilla buildings, and looking at this right now, I don't know what I was thinking. I guess I haven't been in this sort of downtown setting in so long that I was sort of lost. But that's okay, guys, because I end up redoing a whole bunch of these areas. I think quite a bit of it is off camera, unfortunately, but nonetheless, you'll get to see what the final product is in the final cinematics. And I'll try to keep that to a minimum of me like recreating areas off camera, because I don't want to build up a whole area and share that with you guys and just go in afterwards and change everything. I mean, that's not what this whole thing is about. I want you guys to be as involved as possible in this project, and so yeah, that's what this whole thing is about. It's a journey with me and you guys, and it's exciting. I'm super happy with how far we've gotten. So, little problem right here. So first, let's go back a little bit, and right now it's June 6th, okay? But just 30 seconds ago, when you were hearing me speak, that was like May 15th or something. So I haven't been into editing in like 3 weeks. I've been super busy with other things, and it kills me because I have this pretty large fan base, and I want to keep you guys satisfied and push out content. But sometimes that's a little hard for me just because I have so much things going on outside of City Skylines. So I try my best, and I forget where I was going here, but oh yeah, that's right. So at this point, I had stopped playing the game for a good week and a half, 2 weeks, and what happened now? I forget. Something happened. It wasn't the major update. I forget what it was now, but anyways, I rebooted my game. Oh yeah, I remember what it is now. I'm sorry guys, I'm totally off track here. I was playing the game, and all of a sudden the game crashed, and it actually uninstalled itself from my computer, so it was no longer installed in Steam, and I had no clue what happened. So I was just like, oh whatever, I'll just reinstall the game, all my assets will re-download themselves, and we'll be good to go. And that certainly was the case, although what happened was, when I booted up the game, all of my settings had been reset. So all my custom assets, using the tree changer or the prop changer, I had put some custom trees and all sorts of changed these. I had changed a lot of the vanilla buildings with custom trees and custom props and all that, and all of that was reset, unfortunately. So I had to go in and take a couple of hours and reset a whole bunch of stuff. It was a huge pain, but anyways, I'll do anything for you guys. And I was back up and running after a good, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours of just painstakingly rebuilding assets and stuff as I plop them down. So all that just to say, forgive me guys if you see any vanilla trees, any stragglers popping up on your screen. I know they're super ugly, but in this case, that's the best I can do for now. So we're about 3/4 through the commentary part of this video, and I thought that I would announce that I'm going to be taking a little break, guys, from the YouTube channel. And don't be alarmed, it's not a huge break. I'm not taking like 6 months off or anything like that. I am going on 2 weeks vacation in a couple of weeks here, and I don't know when I'm going to release this video, but by the time I do, I'll probably be leaving within the next week or the next couple of days. But I'm leaving for 2 weeks. I'm going to, well, me and the girlfriend are going on a quite large road trip. We're going to Montreal, Ottawa, Toronto, Niagara Falls, and on my way back to the Maritimes, we'll be passing through the US. So through New York State, through Massachusetts, and making our way up through Maine. So that's the that's gonna go on for the first week or so of my vacation. Afterwards, we have some other stuff planned. So it's gonna be a quite busy 2 weeks, and I won't have any time whatsoever to work on any City Skylines related stuff or to produce any videos for you guys. And I hope you guys understand and forgive me for that, but you know, I totally think that you guys would understand. So don't be alarmed, I'm not leaving you guys for a long time, just a couple of weeks. So after this episode, it might be a month or so before I'm able to release another episode. So just be patient, guys, because there's a ton of stuff in store that's already been pre-recorded. I just have to get around to edit it and to commentate over it. And really the commentary is what takes most time in these sort of videos. And I want to make sure that everything is top-notch and that I'm bringing you guys a quality product. So that's why it takes me a little bit longer to produce videos. And of course, you know, work and other things get in the way. But honestly, if I had the choice, if money wasn't an object or anything like that, I would just stay home and make City Skylines videos all day. Like that's how much fun I have with these sort of things. So yeah, that's basically the announcement I wanted to make for this video. I'll also be announcing it in the Discord page for any of you who haven't caught up yet. And yeah, be sure to check the Discord page because I will have access and I will be somewhat active on that page while I'm on vacation too, or if you guys have any questions or whatever for me, I have my notifications on for the Discord page, so I'll still be there, just hiding in the background. So if you have any questions or comments or anything to leave me, feel free, and I'll get back to you guys as soon as I can. But I'm pretty happy that I'm leaving you guys off with a pretty awesome episode here. And if you guys were looking at the Discord page, you've seen I posted a little sneak peek of what's coming on next episode, and I'm super excited to present you guys with that, because sometimes I start to work on these projects that I haven't experienced before, and everything was just going super well, and I'm so excited to present you guys with that. I mean, I don't know, everything was just going exactly the way I imagined it. So I'm not going to say what it is. You're going to have to go check out the Discord page for that. Alright, so back to the game. What am I building right here? This is the port of Burton. Well, it's not really a port. It's sort of more... I don't know what you would call this. It's a ferry terminal, I suppose, or... Yeah, I guess that's what it is. It's a ferry terminal slash a cruise ship port. So... basically, a cruise line will be docking in and out of Burton, and this is going to be one of the largest ports in the city. Also, it's going to be one of the largest ferry terminals in the city. So there's going to be a ferry service from downtown Burton to downtown Timbukton, and it's going to be very busy, I imagine, once the cities are fully functional and built. So I can't wait to see this in action, because I've never actually seen these buildings right here. I think they're both ferry terminals actually in the game. It's just one of them has a bus terminal beside it. So I don't know what kind of effect that's going to have. I'm hoping that both of them will sort of work in sync, and one of them's not going to be like super busy and the other one completely dead, but that's not a huge concern to me. I mean, this was more for looks. I mean, the theme of both buildings were exactly identical, so they fit well together. So yeah. And if we skip ahead, I built this nice sort of terminal building here. It looks sort of like a rest area where people would go to maybe grab a bite to eat and to gaze over the bay to see what's going on. So that's pretty much the extent of this. We're going to get into a little bit of detailing in this episode just to place everything down. And this whole area sort of reminds me of the Halifax waterfront. A couple of years ago, I was in a robotics class before I graduated high school, and we went to this super huge competition in downtown Halifax where a whole bunch of schools throughout the Maritimes were competing. And anyways, your robot had to complete a series of tasks, and sort of if you were able to do that task faster and better than any of the other teams, you would get points. And we actually took first place in the last year that I was in the robotics committee. And anyways, I'm sort of mumbling on here, but this area sort of reminds me exactly of the Halifax waterfront where that event was. I remember at 2 a.m, me and a whole bunch of buddies, we were still up, and the competition was the next morning at like 8 a.m. or something. So we decided to go for a walk on the waterfront, and it was just so much fun, you know, just walking around. And I'm from a small town, right, of like below 10,000 people. And, you know, it's not often you get to experience, you know, those sort of things, you know, walking downtown in a city at 2 a.m. And, you know, I mean, Halifax isn't even a big city by any standards. But for me, you know, that was just so much a fun experience. And I don't know, this whole area is sort of reminds me of that time. So yeah, this neat little boardwalk here serves as a bridge right into downtown, so it saves the people from walking across the busy streets and slowing down traffic. and it adds a little bit of aesthetic too. I think it looks pretty neat. So guys, this pretty much does it for this episode. So we basically completed the entirety of downtown, and in the next couple of episodes we're going to work around sort of the midtown area of downtown, and there's going to be a little bit more detailing going on in the next couple of episodes. This episode was sort of more like a baseline, as I was saying. I've built the basic framework around downtown, and we're going to develop on that a little bit later in the series. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'd just like to say that I apologize for the lapse in video uploads lately. Like I said, I'm super busy, and again, don't forget guys that I'm going on a little bit of a break here for a couple of weeks. So I can't wait to check in with you guys in another 3 to 4 weeks, probably another month most likely. So stay tuned guys, please be patient. I know you guys are totally accepting of all of this, so I don't see any problems there. So guys, if you like the channel, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel for much more content on the way. So until the next episode guys, please take care.
Guess it could have been good, now it's not.